I'm going to make you work for your dollar. Say something with that great radio voice.
When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies, you're listening to Magic 98.9.
People who haven't looked at the issue of homelessness closely, but have some sympathy for those dealing with it, often categorize the homeless as having mental health issues, or dealing with addictions, or surviving childhood traumas.
And it's infuriating to see people group all those experiencing homelessness and paint them with one broad brush. There are as many stories as there are people dealing with homelessness. And this series is my attempt to bring forth these varied stories and generate a more nuanced perspective on this horrific issue.
Robert Kryling, known as Johnny Bravo in his close circle, has been dealing with homelessness since he was a 10-year-old boy, and this led to a life of hustling every day to survive.
So you were homeless before, you said, since you were 9, essentially. 10. Okay.
I mean, having to steal to have entertainment, having to steal to have food, having to steal to keep myself clothed. Yeah. I was a kid. I mean, what other choice did I have?
You did what you needed to do.
Yeah, I did what I needed to do to survive.
It is unimaginable for many of us who grew up in safe environments, the psychology of a child who goes through abuse day in and day out.
A long, complicated process of a lot of domestic violence, mental, emotional, psychological abuse, just seeing things, being around things that were not appropriate, not wanted.
So you're on your own.
Yeah, I was pretty much on my own. I mean, not legally, but basically defending for myself, regardless of what circumstance or what problem or anything. You know, yeah, I may have followed my parents around for a bit, but I was still doing my own thing. Like, if I didn't have it, I try to ask. If I got a no and I kept getting a no, I just go still.
And this didn't keep Robert long out of trouble's way. Soon, Robert found himself as a ward of the state. At the young age of 14, Robert ended up in a juvenile detention center. And at the age of 16, Robert was fully incarcerated.
I spent 11 and a half years there. Went through a lot of treatment, and, you know.
You were locked up for how long?
11 and a half years.
11 and a half years? That's a long time to be locked. You were in Texas? Is that where you were?
No.
You were locked up here?
No, I was locked up here in the evening.
Okay, from 16 to 26. That's tough stuff, man.
Yeah, I've seen many things. I've seen staff die. I've seen staff get stabbed. I've seen wards get stabbed. I've seen riots. Homeless been implicated in riots. You know, it's nuts.
Robert didn't share what exactly got him pulled out of the foster care system, but he did express his views on his incarceration and eventually opened up a little bit more on the nature of his offenses.
You want to tell me what are mediocre things? You had a history of mediocre things. What does that mean?
Well, you know how kids are when they got peer pressure and stuff. You know, they got friends like, oh, check this out. You know, they got to come with this story. Like, where did you get that? And they have to go to take you to the place where they got it from. Well, you know, breaking and entering, vandalism, destruction of property, petty theft. You know, just very small things.
So you had
it builds up over time. And the judicial system says, here's your track record. You have all this. If you're going to do this, this is what we see, and this is what we're going to do.
But just because Robert was in jail, it didn't mean he gave up on himself. Robert started on a journey to better himself.
So you decided, I'm going to learn something. And what'd you learn?
Well, I went back to school. I graduated with a 3.04. I went to one of the top 10 universities in the state.
How does that work?
They have school programs, like you can go and get your high school diploma or you get your GED. They also have, they used to have a program where the University of Laverne, from Laverne County, would come out to Chino and teach the kids to go through physical science, to go through creative writing, to go through whatever interests they have. And that's what I did. And in the process of the last 6 years of being there, I had 2 jobs, practically every institution I was in. In Chino, I was doing landscaping and cabinetry, masonry, a little bit of welding, food prep, services, and stuff like that.
Even in the prison system, Robert couldn't form a sense of shelter and stability, and he was moved from city to city, one institution to the other.
Sacramento, NRCC, Ione, Preston, Stockton, Boys Close, YTS, Chino, Norwalk, SRCC, Stockton again.
Institutions. Did you enjoy learning the trade stuff? Did you find it?
I mean, I'm good at working with my hands, because people have 3 ways of learning. There's kinesthetic, there's audio, and visual. Okay? A lot of times people don't realize that if you try to say something to a kinesthetic learner, it's gonna go right out the ear. You need to tell them probably 2, 3, 4 times before they even catch on to it. With a kinesthetic learner, they can see it sometimes and they pick up on it like that. Sometimes not. But if you show them and guide them as they go through it, they'll pick it up so much faster, it sticks with them.
Even though Robert learned several skills and he was well aware of his abilities, life outside the prison wasn't easy, and neither was finding work. But he still is trying to better his life.
Well, for me to better my life, it's like I have to have people more willing to help me, Because, I know I'm stubborn. It's just part of who I am. At the same time, it's like I go through each day and I try to get a plan in my head to see if things will move forward. But a lot of times, how easy I think it is not what the process is for actually getting it done.
The kind of childhood and youth Robert had also took a toll on his mental health, and that makes it even harder to find and hold on to a job.
Well, the first thing is that being able to have a stable job, because having a stable job produces income, and producing income creates housing. Housing also creates stability. I'm trying to find some place where I can get the puzzle pieces to fit into place at the right moment.
Struggling with all the stuff in his life and being highly self-aware also led Robert to get dependent on drugs.
My brain is already out there when I'm sober. So when it happens when I get on the street, I focus. And when I focus, I get things done. That's why right now I have an axle for my bike. I just haven't been able to put it on yet.
All right. So you get access to the speed by basically trading. You'll fix someone's bike. You'll get him food.
Yeah. For me, it's like I said, if I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't.
So yeah.
But then, in order for me to focus on things that I need to get done, that's how it would be.
Even though Robert gets these small gigs time and again, holding onto a job is difficult. And like the rest of us, Robert also monitors the current economic situation.
11 million still out of work. Conditions are at such extreme levels that one city in Massachusetts announced they're going to give out...
This place is the economy of this state is, excuse my French, but garbage. Okay? That's one of the reasons why I left in the first place. Because if you're only getting paid $7, $8 an hour, that's not enough to live on in a house that is either a 1 or 2 bedroom. Because they either want $1,200 or $1,500 a month, or $1,000 or $900. It's still not enough.
Whatever it is, and this is maybe easy for me to say, but
That's
isn't it
just
better
one
than
factor.
nothing? Isn't it better than nothing?
But see, that's the thing. A lot of these jobs, you don't move up. There's a couple of people that came in there and said they're looking for people to help build pools and stuff, but I never heard back from them. The other part is too is that, I understand that people have lives of their own, and I don't want to bug them.
Right.
Okay. The other part about that is too, there's 2 or 3 factors to me getting a job.
Okay, one is my background. I still have a lot of issues with trying to deal with it because it's what's preventing me from getting a lot of jobs. There could be a, you know, part where I can move up, a progressive, you know, stable thing, you know. And the other part about it is just being able to be accustomed to the difference in authority as it goes. But for me, it's more of being able to understand people. To understand people is to be able to know them before they know themselves. So if you watch them, you see their habits, you see their patterns, you see their body language, you will understand them before they even know that you understand them. And you can pick things out. Like, I see people here all the time, you know, and sometimes I can pick that situation that they're going through like this. Basically, I'm only doing what I'm allowed to do, okay? And otherwise, I mean, I've looked through over 100 different places. You know, I've gone through interviews, I've gone through applications, processes, everything. And I don't ever get no calls back. I don't get no people telling me I have to come in the second time. You know, I even went to Ocean Springs Tech for the pool service out there. And they go and they clean the pools. So my ex wanted me to go through and try to push to see if I was going to get a job at it. When I did that, they passed me by.
Although Robert has been constantly rejected and thrown out of the system, he still perseveres and tries to do the best he can by working at the Well in the Desert, an organization that provides services to the needy and the homeless.
Well, each morning I go through, I do the ice chest behind the seats, I do the water jugs that come out here for the people, setting up the food. I also help out with getting the coffee set up, asking for the papers for the showers or the mail, setting up the tables, getting the snacks ready for the morning. And then once the people start coming in, I have them sign their names for the census of how many people are here who come in each day, how many people need resources, and then how many people take showers. Throughout the day, I'll replenish each thing as it runs out. Coffee, water, you know, condiments for the coffee. If someone needs water, they get it when they leave. Otherwise, I'll tell them they can get it from the blue jug when they come in. So they get a big cup, and then they can go on.
Robert has committed his mistakes in the past, and he's paid the price for them. But his story also raises questions, not just about the homeless situation in the wealthiest country in the world, but also about our system of rehabilitation. We need to ask ourselves, and the system of which we are a part, if after serving his time, is Robert worthy of a second chance? And if so, what should we do as a society to facilitate that? I leave you with these questions, and I will do more stories such as these to make both you and me more aware and more compassionate toward those who live without the very basic need of shelter.